Now, in around about 7 or 8 years old, I had this dream. And in this dream, it was a recurring dream because I had it many times over and over and over. And our scientists have done a study on people who have recurring dreams, and we find that many people have recurring dreams. They say that people who wake up just before REM sleep or after REM sleep, when you go into your next sleep cycle, these are the people who are most likely to have recurring dreams. Whatever the scientific purpose might be or the scientific reason might be for recurring dreams, I'm not sure. But in this dream that I had, this recurring dream that I had many, many times as a young boy, I used to have this dream that I was floating. And many people have dreams of flying or floating and have that experience. You know what it feels like, a very strange feeling. But in this dream, I dreamt that I was floating up through different layers of heavens. And to me, I knew they were heavens because they were beautiful and was nothing like I'd ever seen here. Some people say there were different levels or different layers of clouds or whatever, but to me, I knew very, very clearly from a young age that there were 7 heavens. And as I went through these 7 heavens, I could hear people singing. And they were singing in a language or chanting in a language I'd never heard before. And they're all dressed in white robes, and everyone looked so happy and so serene. And they were chanting the same thing over and over and over again, and I didn't know what it meant. So I went to my priest the next day, and I said to the priest of my church, what is this dream about 7 heavens and this chanting? And of course, the reaction was, boof, on the back of the head. We do not believe in 7 heavens, there's only 1 heaven. And so the whole way through life, I had this idea that there were 7 heavens, and I had an idea that this chanting that I heard had some type of meaning. So I asked a couple of other people from other denominations. Of course, they said the same thing within Christendom. There's only 1 heaven. And I tried to find out what the meaning was. So I spoke to a woman who knew Latin in my church. And I said to her, what does this la, 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 la mean? And she said, well, she has no idea, but it might be Latin, or it might be Aramaic, or it might be Greek. She doesn't know what it is. But I mustn't worry too much about that. It's just a dream, and leave it as a dream. So I continued to live through my life and not worry about it. And so I wanted to find, in a way, I wanted to find what this meant, but I didn't worry too much about it. I left it. So this chanting, this story, and this layers of heaven, I really wanted it. It really bothered me. I really wanted to have an answer for it, but not to the extent where I gave up everything else in search of the answer for this. So it always remained at the back of my mind. And so I continued arguing, and I started questioning, and I said, but what about all the wives and all these things? And as I was in the middle of my topic, my brother pulled me on my shoulder. He tapped me on my shoulder, and he said, listen, stop talking and start listening. So I looked at him, and I looked back, and I thought, what does he know? And he said, no, stop talking and start listening. And so when my brother said, stop talking and start listening, guess what happened? The very next words out of the mouth of Ford Hendricks was, and there are 7 heavens. And in these 7 heavens, and I stopped and I thought, wow. Any of those who heard the first part of the series will remember that I spoke about when I was about 7 or 8 years old, I had this dream about 7 heavens. And everybody I went to and asked them about these 7 heavens, they said there's no such thing, there's only 1 heaven. And when I asked them about these words that have been chanted, they said, no, maybe it's Latin or maybe it's Hebrew. Nobody knew what these words meant that I dreamt about. And this was a dream that I had many years over and over and over again. So when I was young, I had these dreams about these 7 heavens, which I had over and over and over again. And here is this man, out of the blue, after my brother has said to me, keep quiet and listen to what this man has to say. Stop talking and listen. What does he say? The very next words out of this man's mouth are, there are 7 heavens. And he carried on talking about these 7 heavens, and I said, wait, just go back. You said there are 7 heavens? And he said, yeah, there are 7 heavens. Didn't you know this? I said, no. And he told me about the layers of heaven and hell, how that there are different rewards and punishments for people. And I suddenly realized this makes sense. Not only had I dreamt about it, but it makes sense. How can Hitler, if 5 minutes before he killed himself, has to suddenly say, I believe in Jesus Christ as my Lord and Savior, suddenly be in exactly the same heaven as somebody who sacrificed their entire life, who strived, who lived and did everything 24 hours a day to live a good, righteous life, a good, pure life, a good, pious life, and suddenly he will be in exactly the same reward and exactly the same heaven? This is impossible. How can somebody who lived a pious life but made one mistake at the end of his life suddenly go to the same hell as anybody else? And so it didn't make sense to me, but here this man is telling me about these 7 heavens. I said to him, you know, I had a dream about this, a dream that I had over and over again. And all the people who know me, all the people in my family, all my friends all know about this dream because I used to tell them about it. And they all used to think I was crazy because of this dream that I used to tell them about. And then I said to them, I said to this Fort Hendricks, I said to him, there was this other thing that happened in this dream. And in this dream, this guy it sounded like something like this. There were these people chanting, they were all wearing white robes, and they were saying, la, 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 la. And he said, oh, you mean la ilaha illallah Muhammadur Rasulullah. And I was shocked. I was white. I was pale. I'm white now, but I was whiter than this. And I was pale, and I couldn't believe it. And I said, that is exactly what they said. And I see my brother had come to me, and he said he took the Shahada. And he said he declared there is no other God but God, and that the Prophet Muhammad is the final messenger of God. But he told me it in English. I hadn't heard it in Arabic yet. And when I heard this, I said, this is exactly what I heard. When I was a child, I had this dream over and over and over again of these people going through these different layers of heaven. And they were chanting the same thing, La ilaha illallah Muhammadur Rasulullah. Now I know you're going to think straight away that this is a person who sits and goes to mosque and he spins in circles. No, I'm not. I don't believe in dreams and visions as being the answer to everything, because they must be backed up with the Quran. If you have a dream and you have a vision or whatever it is, the hadith, the authentic hadith and the Quran must back it up. You can't just go and now override everything and say, I'm just going to listen to my dreams. Now when I explained that these dreams that I had, remember I spoke in the earlier episodes in the series, I said that scientists have now proved that REM, after people go into deep REM, rapid eye movement sleep, that they have repetition dreams. It's something that happens. They cannot explain it. Scientists cannot explain it. But there's another type of dream that you have when you're outside of REM, when you're outside of your rapid eye movement dream, where people have dreams which are normally repetitive dreams that take place during this cycle. And this time that this happens is normally around the time of 1 o'clock in the morning, 2 o'clock in the morning, 3 o'clock in the morning. Now this is coincidental, because this is the time that we are told as Muslims to wake up, to pray our extra prayer, and not one of the 5 times prayer, but an extra prayer. And this is when we pray when we want Allah to show us something, when we want us to explain something that we need to understand, maybe something important, maybe you want to get married or whatever. And I as a child used to wake up many, many times around that hour. I'd just wake up for one unknown reason, and I used to pray, and I used to say, God, if you're there, show me how I can find you. Show me if I can find the right path. Because I don't want to walk the way I'm walking. I want to find the truth. I want to find the way that I can find how to be a proper Christian. Because I saw what was going on in the church as a Catholic. I saw what was going on. I thought, this can't be. This can't be the way. All these strange things that we're doing, all these strange sacrifices. So I used to wake up in the middle of the night and I'd say, God, if you're there, show me the truth. I realized as a young child that I needed to understand who God was. And I used to wake up in the early hours of the morning. And I used to pray that God would reveal himself to me. And I was a very young person, and I wanted this idea. And I used to have these reoccurring dreams. And I never understood that these reoccurring dreams were actually answers. I had no idea. I had no philosophy of Islam. I had no theology of Islam. I knew nothing about Islam. So when this man told me, Fort Hendricks, that the Shahada was La ilaha illallah Muhammadur Rasulullah, and that there were 7 layers of heaven, this was confirmation to me without a shadow of doubt. I had no doubts whatsoever. I knew nothing about the 5 pillars of Islam. I did not know anything about the Quran. I did not know anything about the teachings, what was expected to be a Muslim, what I was needed to sacrifice, what I needed to give. When he said to me there are 7 heavens, and he explained these words, La ilaha illallah Muhammadur Rasulullah, in Arabic, not even in English, I said, that's it. I'm becoming a Muslim right now. And the guy looked at me, and the men looked at me that were there. My brother looked at me, everyone looked at me like, but don't you want to know more? I said, no. That is enough. That is the confirmation I need, because if it confirms what has been put in my mind from a child right through today, it took 27 years. 27 years, from 7 years old, 27 years later, the words that I heard when I was 7 years old were repeated to me. And they were repeated to me by humans. There was no way I could argue. There was no way I could say no, that this is not possible. And so that day, I accepted that there is no other God but God, and that the promise that the promised prophet that was sent by God, the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, is the final messenger of God. I accepted it.